This is Campus News, reporting the top stories from colleges and universities.
Next on Campus News, college gamers react to growing debate over video games and gun violence.
Move over, Weight Watchers. See how these cows at NDSU are getting the diet they need.
One Concordia athlete is playing in the postseason more than anyone in program history.
And see how one MSUM student's passion has others breaking a sweat. Good morning and welcome to Campus News. I'm Macy Egland.
And I'm Ezra Vandeneindy.
The future remains unclear for the Chancellor of North Dakota's Board of Higher Education.
A week ago, the North Dakota Student Association overwhelmingly supported a vote of no confidence in Chancellor Hamid Shavani. The NDSU Student Senate also unanimously passed a vote of no confidence for the Chancellor.
It's been a hard year when he came in July, and it's been an interesting culture. It's been a culture that we're just not used to here in North Dakota. He's very hierarchical, he's very top-down, and the way that that's become is that he's told us that we're not supposed to bring our concerns directly to him or his office.
Following these decisions, the North Dakota State Senate voted down an amendment to buy out the remainder of Shavani's contract. But early Wednesday, the Senate reconsidered the bill and reversed the vote from the previous day. The bill, with the amendment, passed through the Senate with a 36-11 vote and approves over $800,000 to buy out Shavani's contract.
Students at MSU Moorhead used to be able to print as many pages as they wanted for free, but a new policy is putting a stop to those who keep piling up the paper. Reporter Kenny Buck tells us how this new policy is affecting students.
Printing. We all need it, some a little more than others. The new policy allows a 500 print limit and a charge of 5 cents per print for any over the 500 print limits. Chief Information Officer Dan Heckeman says the new policy is most important from a security standpoint.
We didn't even have authentication in our computer labs. So technically, from a security perspective, anybody anywhere could come on a campus, use the devices and print whatever they wanted.
With the new printing policy in place, the basic steps to printing haven't changed, from swiping my ID and pressing print. Except students have to be mindful of how many prints they use.
I'm a psychology major and I've had to print a lot of articles already, and I'm not even below $20 yet.
If any MSUM students are worried about surpassing the limit, Student Body President Russell Ferguson has some statistics from last year that should calm your nerves.
Out of the 4,658 students who are printing, 213 of them went over 500. So that's a very small percentage compared to the rest of the student body.
With photographer Catherine Beneby, Kenny Buck, Campus News.
Students at NDSU are also limited to the same printing quota of 500 pages.
Despite multiple town hall meetings and open forums, the City of Moorhead's new snow removal policy has once again created problems for MSU students. A couple of weeks ago, more than 130 cars were towed from the streets near the MSUM campus. On February 21st, more than 40 vehicles were towed, and for some, it wasn't the first time. MSUM student Andrew DeCree has had his car towed twice since the new policy was implemented.
We're college students. We're among the poorest people here, really, you know. I mean, we're all in debt and don't have money to go spending on this. I don't have $100 on hand to go get my car out now, so I don't know how I'm going to get around until next payday, really.
MSUM is offering students some reimbursement this time, however, after an email that was supposed to inform them of the towing was not sent out properly.
The death of a former MSU Moorhead professor turned even more tragic when his son died in a car accident on the way to his funeral. Former art professor Timothy Ray passed away on February 9th after a 4-year battle with colon cancer. He was 72 years old. Just 9 days later, his 49-year-old son, Sean Ray, was killed in a 4-vehicle crash on the way to his dad's funeral. The accident happened on I-94 near Barnesville. Officials say bad weather was likely a contributing factor.
When Sean was not at the church, I couldn't figure it out. I thought, this just isn't right. I mean, Sean would be here, and little did I know, of course, what had happened. So it was an incredible shock for the family.
Sean's partner, 49-year-old Judith Reed, was also killed in the accident, and his 16-year-old son, Evan, was critically injured and placed into a medically induced coma.
It's been a controversial issue for years. Do video games cause violent behavior?
Reporter Arista Serrano introduces us to some MSU Moorhead students who are shooting down the idea.
Some video games have been coming under fire due to an increase in gun-related violence, and several lawmakers are starting to see a link between video games and real-life behavior. One student, Tony Retzel, has an extensive video game collection and does not believe video games and violence are closely related.
How many millions of kids in the world play violent video games? Lots. I have Infamous 2, Uncharted 3, Call of Duty Black Ops, James Bond, Assassin's Creed, Star Wars. Those are just fun.
I don't feel that violent video games make you violent. Like, you'll get angry at the game, but as soon as you put it down, it's just like as if you normally were. I don't feel like it would make you go out and do anything, because it's just a game, and I think most people realize it's just a game.
It can get better than that. There have been several studies, and results show that violent video games increase angry thoughts, aggressive behavior, and they decrease helping behavior and decrease empathy and compassion for others. One violent video game, Call of Duty Black Ops 2, grossed over $500 million within 24 hours of going on sale. With a huge following these games have, it is hard to see them being shot down anytime soon. Arista Serrano, Campus News.
Call of Duty Black Ops 2, a game that involves shooting and killing other players, was the top-selling video game of 2012.
MSU Moorhead students got to hear from a controversial figure this week. William Ayers is the co-founder of a group that became known for bombing government buildings in opposition to U.S. involvement in the Vietnam War. He came to MSUM to educate students on how to incorporate social justices into curriculum with his speech titled Teaching from the Heart, Education for Enlightenment and Freedom.
Central to social justice is a curriculum of questioning. So I want people to be thinking not what's the right answer, but what's the next question. Because I'm really a huge believer in the fact that knowledge is incomplete and human beings are incomplete.
Ayers is a former anti-war activist and is now an educational reform advocate. He resurfaced as a controversial figure during the 2008 presidential campaign because of his contacts with then-Senator Barack Obama.
It's something many of us do. Buy a bottle of water, drink it, and toss it in the trash.
Reporter Brianne Lensmeyer tells us how two students are hoping to change that trend.
Every second, we Americans use over 1,500 bottles of water, and 80% of those bottles end up in a landfill. But two students at Minnesota State University Moorhead want to dry up that trend.
We actually figured out how many bottles are used on campus annually, and it's about 17,000, which is actually pretty good, but it could be a lot better.
Telling the difference between them all proved to be a challenge for students as they sampled 3 different types of water: tap, bottled, and filtered.
People don't know which is which, so we're just doing a taste test to see if people can tell the difference between bottled and tapped water.
Students guessed between the 3 samples, and if they were right, they got a water bottle to use instead of buying a bottle of water.
If we mess it up, there's no turning back. All our decisions that we make each day affect how we live for the rest of our lives.
With filtered water filling stations around campus, students have many opportunities to fill up while on the go, and the stations keep track of the number of plastic water bottles that are being saved by using a reusable water bottle. With photographer Stian Michelson, Brianne Lensmeyer, Campus News.
Organizers say they hope to bring awareness to students about how many plastic bottles are used on campus each year.
A group of internet entrepreneurs is donating millions to medical research. Facebook founder Mark Zuckerberg and Google co-founder Sergey Brin are part of the group that has launched the Breakthrough Prize in Life Sciences. They dished out $3 million prizes to 11 university researchers from across the world. The awards are intended to bring attention to scientists who think big, take risks, and have made a significant impact on their field. Winners include Princeton University's David Botstein, who studies the human genome, and MIT's Robert Weinberg, who discovered a gene that causes cancer.
Whiteboards, markers, and flashcards are giving Concordia students a hands-on learning experience.
Studio physics is an interactive way of learning, and students say they prefer it over regular classes. Reporter Jackie Oman has more.
R squared times x over r along I.
The Studio Physics experience gives college students the opportunity to work in groups and to solve problems together. Concordia students are saying that this type of learning can be beneficial and that the class helps them to grasp onto learning science.
You have good conversation with the professor, get his knowledge into your brain.
The groups of students work with different materials to answer the professor's questions after each 20-minute lecture.
We have like conceptual questions where we have flashcards. I really like actually being able to work on the problems during class so that I know that if I can solve them or not. Otherwise, I can ask the professor right away.
Dr. Manzani, an assistant professor at Concordia College, says this way of learning has its advantages.
It's not just me staying there in front of the class talking all the time, so you get to know them better, okay? So then you get to know them, the troubles that they have with the material, then you can help them in a more specific ways.
This style of learning will continue to be encouraged, and Concordia students say it is an easier way to understand science. Concordia will expand Studio to 4 more classes next year, and more students will have the ability to learn science in this manner. With photographer Melissa Steffen, Jackie Oman, Campus News.
Research has shown that interactive learning improves a student's ability to understand what's taught in the classroom.
A group of scientists at NDSU has made a unique discovery in the North Dakota oil patch. After careful analysis of more than 200 clay samples, scientists have found different levels of aluminum oxide. This substance can eventually play a role in hydraulic fracturing in the North Dakota oil fields. The researchers say this material in the clay could be important to the fracking process by keeping the fractures open. Currently, the materials used in the oil patch to keep the fractures open typically come from other states or countries.
Other NDSU researchers have developed technology to prevent their cows from pigging out. Reporter Brian Ashburn brings us to the barn.
When it comes to food, these cows are living the dream.
Corn's the candy tool.
Nutritious recipes, fresh food, hand delivered. But there's just one problem.
You kick them out, you can no longer have access to that feed.
The NDSU Beef Cattle Research Complex is a state-of-the-art farm that uses high-tech radio frequency identifiers to track the cow's behaviors.
Identifying the animals through their RFID, we know individually what every animal is doing, and it gives us so much more power with our data set. We can generate a lot more information.
Information that researchers use to control every aspect of the cow's diet.
Even different ingredients, they can go to one trough, and we can control how much they eat.
Each morning, Gilbury and his team of NDSU students track the daily food intake,
When you get that much.
so they know exactly what to make for the meals of each day. They measure and mix recipes based on what the cows need.
That's 80% corn and about 16% corn silage.
They then deliver
and then the second ration goes in the second 2.
to each of the troughs based on their data. So while it may not be an all-you-can-eat buffet, they are getting all of their nutritional needs. With photographer Melissa Steffen, Brian Ashburn, Campus News.
Gilbury says tracking the cattle's food can save North Dakota farmers $17 million in the next year.
A college in New Hampshire has announced a plan to reject college credits that students earn in high school. Dartmouth College recently decided to stop accepting advanced placement scores after a study suggested that the AP classes are not as rigorous as the classes they offer. Dartmouth says of the more than 100 students who had scored a 5 out of 5 on the AP psychology exam, 90% failed the Dartmouth entry-level psychology test. The school will stop accepting AP scores starting in the fall of 2014.
International students at MSU Moorhead come from all around the world, and many of them are from tropical climates.
Reporter Ross Torgerson shows us how these students are coping with the bone-chilling Minnesota winters.
Imagine going from this
The eastern end of the island has some of the most beautiful beaches I've ever seen.
to this. Unfortunately, this is the reality for many international students here at MSUM, going from the sweltering heat and right into the frozen tundra.
It's horrible. I hate it so much.
What do you hate about it?
The cold. It's like always icy cold, especially when the wind blows. It's just stupid, ridiculous. But I see people walking up and down in shorts, and I'm wearing like 4 pants, and I have on like 3 jackets, and it's like ridiculous. It's crazy, man.
Nana Okoye-Oboyu from Ghana is in her second semester at MSUM after moving here from New Jersey. Despite her time in New Jersey, nothing could have prepared her for this type of weather.
Yeah, this is like extreme cold. Never thought I'd actually be in a weather that was like below 0 ever. So having to like wake up in the morning and see, oh, it's negative something is like, what the hell is going on?
Despite the popular opinion among international students about the cold winter weather, many MSUM students, such as Louis Zern from Benson, Minnesota, have a different one.
I wouldn't say I like it, but I'm definitely used to it.
But how would Zern prepare if he was an international student?
I should have packed warmer clothes. Somebody should have warned me about this.
With photographer Catherine Beneby, Ross Torgerson, Campus News.
MSUM does warn international students of the conditions before coming to school. They strongly recommend packing warm winter gear.
A food fight took place at the North Dakota State University basketball game, but the food didn't go to waste. The Summit League, which includes NDSU, had a week-long food fight challenge to collect food donations for a local food bank. The Student Athlete Advisory Council teamed up with the Greek organization Alba Bales to promote the event. The SAAC chose to give all the donations to the Center of Equality Service located in the Alba Bales house.
We thought that it would be a great opportunity for students and the community members, who are donating food and money to give back to those that are, right here in Fargo.
A sustainable amount of food up there that can be, really useful. So we're really excited.
The school that collected the most will receive an additional $770 to include with their donations.
With spring break quickly approaching, tanning salons are keeping busy with students getting a few fake rays before flying south.
Reporter Rebecca Liebach shows us the potential dangers of indoor tanning and how salons are putting safety first.
Yep, 2:30 tomorrow works. And your name?
Business is heating up at MSUM's Hotheads Tanning Salon.
Hi. What can I do for you?
With temps on the decrease, students and staff are increasing time in tanning beds.
Feels good, and it boosts my mood. So I try to make it a point to sometimes come into work earlier. Sometimes I'll just come in on a Saturday or Sunday when I'm not open.
Although tanning may make you feel good, Carol Grimm, the Director of Health and Wellness at MSUM, says those extra rays cause more damage than you may think.
Two kinds of rays here. There's UVA and UVB. UVA is what you have in the tanning booth. Because I hear people all the time say I go to tanning booths to get extra vitamin D. No. The rays that give you the vitamin D are UVB rays, and those are the ones you get outside. The UVA rays are just causing the skin damage. It's the last statistic I read, you have a 74% greater chance of getting melanoma.
These statistics are the reason why most tanning salons take extra steps to make sure you know the dangers of tanning. Students here in the Hotheads Tanning Salon are required to sign a release form before tanning saying they understand the risks. And as an extra precaution, they are required to wear a pair of goggles to protect their eyes while tanning. Hotheads Tanning Salon also has time restrictions, not allowing their customers to tan more than once every 24 hours.
It gives your skin a chance to rest in between.
If waiting to tan does not sound appealing to you, there are other options out there like spray tans and lotions.
I've seen no research that says there's anything wrong with the spray-on tan. You still get the color, lasts for a few days, and you're good to go.
The options are out there to get that glow you desire. Now it's up to you to decide how you want to do it. Rebecca Liebach, Campus News.
If tanning is your way to cope with post-seasonal depression, Carol suggests buying a light box. They can be purchased at most drugstores and range between $100 to $500. And now we turn it over to Colin Boyles for a look at this week's sports.
Big win for the Gophers this week.
Yeah, it's much needed. It's actually probably going to push them into the NCAA tournament now. The University of Minnesota men's basketball team took down the top team in the country for the first time since 1989 this past week. Head coach Tubby Smith got the big win as his team took down Tom Crean's Indiana Hoosiers 77-73. A 10-0 run with 2.5 minutes left helped push the Gophers to the upset Big Ten win. Senior Trevor Mbakwe led the U of M with 21 points and 12 rebounds. Playoffs are something that all athletes strive for, but one Concordia athlete is reaching the postseason with regularity. Reporter Kenny Buck has the story.
Playoffs? Don't talk about playoffs. This may be what runs through the minds of some student athletes, but for Allie Nelson, it's become all too familiar. A multi-sport athlete at Concordia, Nelson excels at soccer and hockey, while bringing a leadership quality that Coach Brian Brunick says is crucial.
It's a very quiet, but a very, very strong lead by example. She's obviously proven with soccer, but in the same thing, hockey, she brings that attitude and brings that competitive side that a lot of kids don't have, which is something that you can't teach.
Nelson, a senior, is the leader for all-time postseason appearances at Concordia College with a whopping 24 playoff games played. Even with the great success, Nelson still remains humble.
I got a little excited. It's pretty cool, but it's never something that I was like, going for. It was just something, found out I broke the record, and it's pretty cool, so.
Playing as a goalie in soccer and a defenseman in hockey, Brunix compares Nelson's play to another sport as well.
Her awareness on the ice, I mean, she's basically a quarterback back there, and she basically runs the entire ice. And there isn't a kid with better vision, and it's, those are the type of qualities she has. She's just a pure hockey player.
It doesn't matter what sport Allie Nelson is playing or what record she's breaking, she still gives credit to the team.
We're probably the hardest working team in the conference. We work hard every day, and that's something we're really proud of, is just the effort we put into every practice and every game.
With photographer Kyle Wahlberg, I'm Kenny Buck, Campus News.
Concordia women's hockey finished third in the Minnesota Intercollegiate Athletic Conference standings during the regular season. Over half of the Concordia College men's hockey team is not from America. However, just 2 can say their brother from Russia plays with them. For Dmitry and Daniil Kalashnikov, hockey is something they have been able to do together since they were kids. Last year, they had to spin it apart as Dmitry was at Concordia and Daniil was still playing major juniors in Canada. They are back together this year and enjoying the company again.
It's great. We do everything together. It's a lot of fun.
Daniil is a freshman forward while Dmitry is a sophomore defenseman for the team. The two just finished their seasons as the Cobbers fell in the first round of the MIAC playoffs. The MSU Moorhead club baseball team is dodging the snow and practicing indoors. Cami Raisler shares the challenges they face while practicing on the hard floors of Nimzik Fieldhouse.
As you can see, playing baseball in the snow is a little challenging. That's why the MSUM club team is forced to practice indoors. But that too brings its challenges.
The MSUM Baseball Club has dusted off its equipment and brought it to maybe not the most ideal baseball facility, Alex Nemzik Fieldhouse.
It's extremely hard. We have to cut off angles and we can't have a full field.
As a catcher, it's really not too big of a difference. The balls seem to skip more.
Players also find it difficult to pick out the baseball from the white walls, but overall, players and coaches are just excited to be playing ball.
It's difficult, but it's good to get our reps down and get our footwork in.
These reps are needed because the team is headed to Florida over spring break for its first tournament of the season.
We leave here in 2 weeks. Should be fun to go play some games outside.
So despite the cold weather keeping the club cooped up indoors, players cannot wait to
play on some grass instead of playing in the gym floor.
Cami Raisler, Campus News.
The club has a spring and fall season where it competes in the Division II District 5 West. Its home field is Jack Williams Stadium in North Fargo. North Dakota State may be well known for its football, but women's track and field is giving it a run for its money. The team just won its 6th consecutive Summit League indoor title. The Bison finished with 186 points, 68 more than second-place Omaha, while totaling 7 first-place finishes. Head coach Ryan Godfrey earned his 6th straight Summit Indoor Coach of the Year award as well. The Bison women have dominated the Summit League, winning every indoor and outdoor title since joining in the 2007-2008 season. One Dragons wrestler has made the cut to represent his team at the biggest stage of college wrestling. 141-pound Angel Vega placed 4th in his division at the Super Regional 3 tournament this past week to send himself to the Division II National Tournament. He finished the tournament with a record of 3-2, losing only to the top 2 seeds. The top 4 finishers in each division qualified for the national championship.
I gotta take it one match at a time, one round at a time, and I just know that as long as I go in there and I just wrestle my hardest, I'm gonna get what's coming to me. So.
And just to let you guys know, Vega's gonna be heading down to Birmingham, Alabama on March 8th and 9th to compete at the national tournament.
Well, that's a big deal.
Thanks, Colin. A new genre of dance is heating up MSU Moorhead's Wellness Center. Reporter Nargis Al-Bakshi has the story.
Fancy footwork, complicated arm moves, and hip shaking are all part of the unique street dance class at MSUM. A diverse group of students show up to release stress, learn new dance moves, and to burn off calories.
A lot of cardio, like moving around, jumping around. It like really works your abs, I think, with all that like hip thrusting and all that.
A special characteristic of street dance is that there is no right or wrong way to dance. It's all about letting loose.
It's my first time like going to actual dance class, but because it's so active, you just fit right there, and then if you just enjoy it, I think it's perfect.
The colorful genre of street dance has been introduced to MSUM this year, all thanks to an exchange student from Japan.
I was teaching street dance in Japan for like a beginner in my club.
After finding out that MSUM did not offer a street dance class, she was determined to share her passion of street dance with others by offering to instruct a class.
Can't dance, I'm gonna be depressed. If I like feel bad or feel sad, I just turning on music in my room. I just like dance by myself, and then like sweat, and then I forget everything.
Reina is cool. I love her. She's so like free-spirited and she's so energetic. So like her energy kind of transfers to everybody else. So that's a good thing.
With photographer Noor Lamran, Nargis Al-Bakshi, Campus News.
Street dancing is held every Thursday night in the MSUM Wellness Center. And that's it for this edition of Campus News.
We leave you with a look at the winter wonderland around the MSUM campus.
Thanks for joining us, and have a great week.
Campus News was produced by the Television News Workshop in the Department of Mass Communications at Minnesota State University Moorhead in cooperation with Prairie Public Television.